Hello, welcome back. And if you've watched any of our other presentations, you would have seen the advanced capabilities that we talked about in protecting your APIs. But primarily here, we'll be doing a live demo to show you the solution, the platform that's able to address a lot of the sophisticated threats uh, beyond the OS top 10, right? And we've categorized that into three main buckets: the traditional attacks, the API specific attacks, and ultimately the business logic attacks. We have a one-stop shop platform that's able to address all those threats uh, from a sophisticated and holistic perspective, right? And I'll give you a demo of exactly what that is. And again, it starts with discovery. You want to discover all your endpoints and then classify the data types attributed to those endpoints and start building an inventory of your endpoints. Then you can start to identify anomalies that are attributed to those endpoints or susceptibility of those endpoints to certain threats like BOLA, right? Broken object level authorization or excessive data exposure, or just objects without authorization or authentication token attached to it. You're able to identify that with a platform, and I'll talk about how we can protect those endpoints in real time, right? In real time, without integrating with anything else, any of your other operational technologies, right? So we do that again in that single platform, and then monitor behavior anomalies as they continue to try and probe your endpoints. We would identify that and continuously protect those endpoints. Now, let's just get started here with a demo. Now, this is a typical site. We've onboarded this for specifically for Kong. We have the web application firewall protecting that site. We have bot protection to stop automated threats. We have volumetric attack protection as well. DDoS attack protection platform is built into this advanced platform, and then we have the analytics tool overlaying that. Now, again, from observability standpoint, you have the ability to see the number of API requests that are issued to that, to your host that's been onboarded. Right now, we are monitoring this application here, myretailbank.impvdemo.com, and we are continuously monitoring the threats to those endpoints. And you can see another key data point here, where a lot of the traffic that we've seen on that endpoint are actually bots, right? This is one of our demo apps, and it just seems the bots are having a day with that application by launching automated threats. Now let's get deeper into protecting that application with API security. But one thing that I want to draw your attention to again is the nature of the platform, right? Where everything you need as a service is already procured and readily available for you, from a WAF to our API security, advanced bot protection, which is critical, right? Especially for account takeover, credential related attacks. And you have client side protection that's built into that. So remember, beyond your perimeter, beyond your proxies, that are your applications are still susceptible to business logic attacks, and we go deeper beyond it to protect your browsers of your users that are coming in to use your applications. So let's get started with API security. Let's assume here you've onboarded the application. Again, it's a simple DNS change. You want to enable API security. You simply have to go into settings on the API security, enable settings, and once settings is enabled, you can, once discovery is enabled on an endpoint, you can start to monitor the different endpoints attributed to that host, right? You can classify the data types attributed to this different data labels here. We have over 40 of them, data types attributed to this labels. And then you get into the advanced capabilities, right? Where you want to start identifying susceptibility of those endpoints that are identified and have now been classified to some of this high risk vulnerabilities. Number one is any endpoint that doesn't have authentication token locked in it. You definitely want to be aware of that. We look at different headers within, embody within the request to make sure that the calls are they contain authentication keys, meaning they have been authorized, again, to start using those endpoints. We do this automatically, but you have the ability to add filters to that. Another big one, right? Overfetching problem with REST API. We have the ability to see excessive data exposure, right? Attributed to that, you can again modify any of these variables. And remember, we have ability to do this at speed, line speed, right? Where we're identifying this vulnerabilities, susceptibility of those endpoints to our vulnerabilities, such as in a big one, right? Broken object level authorization, BOLA, right? We check for your parameters and we find susceptibilities within those endpoints, within the endpoints to BOLA attacks, right? This is not simply monitoring the request. We are profiling the requests against the way that you design the application to operate. And kind of once you have all the advanced capabilities enabled, you want to quickly jump into our looking at the inventory as it's building up, right? And there are really two processes there. There's the baseline process, right? That's continuously monitoring baseline items to see if they're eventually are deprecated, right? If it goes over 90 days, it will move to deprecated endpoints, as you see here. And then in progress, in progress signifies that the endpoint is being baselined, right? We're waiting for more traffic to ascertain that it's actually a legitimate endpoint. And I'll give you a classic example of what we see in the baseline queries here. Here's a request matching a response, right? You have the body that's been broken out into our different objects, right? And you have the response where we are tracking the different attributes within the body header, right? So this is where you kind of start to identify susceptibility of those endpoints to broken object level authorization vulnerabilities, right? And from here, if there are other vulnerabilities attributed to, we'll be able to see that on the vulnerabilities, whether it's vulnerable to BOLA or excessive data exposure, we'll be able to view that there. But you can also apply quick filters, right, to see exactly what the endpoint is susceptible to, right? Or the risk level of the endpoint. The filters allow you to, if you have hundreds of endpoints, you can quickly apply this. But I'm going to jump now to, let me just mention a key point. You actually have the ability to download, right, a Swagger file from what's been baselined, right? This changes the approach from not only you're no longer waiting for the developer to give you what that endpoint looks like. You're actually building an active inventory. You can provide that to the developers so they are aware of what's in production, right? What's facing the internet. From there, we can start to run vulnerability or assessment scans against the endpoint. You can build that will scan the endpoint for vulnerabilities, whether it's vulnerable to logic attacks or vulnerable to even regular business logic attacks. You are able to build that too with our platform. And from there, you can quickly go to our attack analytics. This is really what brings it together, right? Where you have an endpoint that we are protecting, right? And you want to start to evaluate the alerts, right? The alerts in attack analytics provide you a way to synthesize thousands of events into a single narrative. And the narrative kind of tells you exactly what's going on with the endpoint, the source IP address, the nature of that source IP address. You can use our reputation intelligence platform for that, which is natively built in, right? This reputation intelligence provides you our intel for IP addresses, again, all over the world. This is a classic example of a really bad IP address, and that's fed directly into the threat intel platform that's integrated into the narratives for API security. Again, we can see the kind of tools that are being utilized by the bad actors, right? And what resources are being attacked. We can see that they are attacking the login URL here. And that tells us that we probably need to find some sort of configuration within advanced bot protection to protect that API, to that sensitive URL, which will be something like account takeover, right? You can see that are the IP addresses, other IP addresses that are attributed to that attack. And a key indicator here, they are using web drivers, right? Again, this is where we use the power of our threat intel to start identifying threats and taking proactive controls to stop them, Now, this is very critical. Again, this is all within a single platform. And this gives us the upper hand in being proactive and not simply reacting to events as they come through. Right. Again, we understand the user agents, right? By classifying them, they're just simply using binaries. As you can see here, these are all bots, right? And yet they appear to be your legitimate browsers. Well, they are not. They are actually bots, as you can see within the web drivers that we have here. And such is the power of what we do here at Imperva to stop threats proactively for all your APIs across the board. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you again.